When was the last time you played a video game? Not very long ago, I'm sure. Do you remember what type of game it was? Was it a racing game or a fighting game or maybe just a good old puzzle? Chances are it was the second one, a fighting game. Take a look at the top 3 most played games in the world: PUBG, Crossfire and Dungeon Fighter. What do all of these 3 have in common? They're violent games. They involve shooting people, fighting people and ultimately killing people. These games are immensely popular across the world. PUBG, for example, has 1.2 billion users. Crossfire has 1 billion users. Dungeon Fighter has 850 million users. Children spend hours playing these games. In China, gamers spend 12 hours every week. In India, 8.6 hours. The global average is around 8.4 hours every week. So here's the question. Is this exposure leading to video game addiction? And if yes, how bad is it? Also, could it possibly lead to aggression and violence? Why am I asking these questions? Because of an incident that was reported on Wednesday. A 16-year-old boy shot his mother in Lucknow. He kept her body inside the house for 2 days. Even locked up his sister to keep the police away. Do you know why this happened? Because the mother scolded him for playing PUBG. Apparently, the boy was addicted. When his mother stopped him from playing, he shot her. Who do you blame for this crime? The child who got addicted, the parents who ignored it, or the company that made this game? Perhaps all 3. Gaming addiction is a real medical condition. In 2018, the World Health Organization listed it in their medical reference book. They called it gaming disorder. How do you identify it? Most doctors list out 5 big signs: thinking about games all the time, feeling bad when you can't play, not being able to quit or reduce your gaming time, feeling the need to play in order to feel good, and having problems at work or school because of gaming. If you have one or more of these symptoms, you have to be careful. You must seek help, expert help. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I think about games all the time, but it doesn't affect my social life. Does that still make me an addict? No, it doesn't. In such cases, you must ask yourself a couple of questions. 1, is your gaming affecting your relationships? 2, is it affecting your job or school? Also, do you like playing or do you have to play? Take the incident in Lucknow, for example. The boy shot his own mother. Clearly, the game affected his personal relationships. And that's just the start. Gaming addiction can cause hormonal disturbances from lack of sleep. It can make children withdrawn and isolated. Indirectly, it also results in consumption of high-calorie processed food. So these are the signs to watch out for. Question number 2, how do you treat gaming addiction? Just like you treat any addiction. Counseling, behavioral modifications, and if possible, controlled gaming. Sometimes doctors prefer controlled exposure instead of abstinence. Finally, the question, could this addiction lead to violence and aggression? Now, medical science is divided on this. Some studies confirm a direct relationship, others reject any conclusive link. Let me tell you what the American Psychological Association found, and I'm quoting, "Violence is a complex social problem that likely stems from many factors that warrant attention from researchers, policymakers, and the public. Attributing violence to violent video gaming is not scientifically sound and draws attention away from other factors." I'll give you an example of this. Think back to the Texas school shooting last month. We all know why that happened, because of America's outdated gun laws. But some politicians gave it a different spin. Like Texas Senator Ted Cruz, he blamed video games for desensitizing American teens. Now, do you see the problem here? Video games have become a soft target. They help politicians deflect from the real issue. In this case, it is gun laws. Does that mean that these games are faultless? Well, far from it. Some of them are violent beyond dreams. They do normalize death and gore. But is it enough to trigger real-life violence? The scientific community, like I said, is split on that. However, one thing is indisputable, an indisputable fact. Excess gaming is harmful. You can't argue with that. Over a long period, it can lead to addiction, and that addiction can trigger violence. The incident in Lucknow is the best example. So how do you stop it? Expecting the gaming companies to help is wishful thinking. We are talking about a $200 billion industry. It's even bigger than movies. The global box office is only around $42 billion. Listen to this. Global box office, $42 billion. Games are worth $200 billion. And that money is directly linked to one thing: the amount of time our children spend playing. Unless governments impose new laws, stopping addiction will be the responsibility of parents. So monitor their game time, look out for behavioral changes, and maybe buy them a frisbee. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.